You're sitting at a networking event, drink in your hand, fake smile plastered on your face. You've been here for 45 minutes, and you've had exactly one conversation that felt genuine. The rest was small talk about weather and weekend plans. You're exhausted. You're wondering why you came. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're asking yourself a question. Is this really the only way to get a job? But the real answer is far stranger. That version of networking you dread? It doesn't actually work. Not for you. Not for most people. The data is clear. The most effective job search strategy has almost nothing to do with crowded rooms, business card exchanges, or performing extroversion for strangers who won't remember you. The real strategy is quieter, slower, and it plays directly to your deepest strengths. What if the thing that makes you hate networking is exactly what makes you brilliant at it? Let's go back to the word itself. Network. It sounds technical, mechanical, like something you build by collecting as many nodes as possible. But human connection doesn't work that way. You cannot scale genuine relationships. You cannot automate trust. And yet, the standard advice tells you to do exactly that. Go to more events. Meet more people. Hand out more cards. Follow up with everyone. It's a numbers game, they say. But numbers games are for slot machines, not for careers. The quiet networking method replaces volume with depth, and it produces results that volume never can. Here's the truth that most career advice refuses to admit. 5 genuine connections are worth more than 500 LinkedIn followers who don't know who you are. Think about that for a moment. 5 people who have actually seen your work, who remember your name, who would genuinely vouch for you. That network is more powerful than 1,000 strangers who clicked accept. So why does almost everyone chase the 1,000 strangers? Because it's easier to measure. Because it feels like progress. Because sending 100 connection requests takes an hour, but building 5 real relationships takes weeks. And in a world obsessed with speed, patience looks like failure. But patience is not failure. Patience is strategy. The quiet networking method has 3 core principles. Principle 1, depth over breadth. Principle 2, give before you ask. Principle 3, writing is your medium. Principle 1, depth over breadth. Depth over breadth means you choose your people carefully. You don't network with everyone. You network with the right people. People in your target industry. People whose work you genuinely admire. People who are doing what you want to do. And you don't just add them on LinkedIn and forget they exist. You engage. You read what they write. You comment thoughtfully. You share their work. You become a familiar name before you ever ask for anything. This is where introverts have a natural, almost unfair advantage. Extroverts tend to spread their energy wide. They meet 50 people at an event and remember 3 names. But introverts naturally focus. They listen. They remember details. They notice what matters. When you focus your attention on 5 people instead of 50, you actually build something real. Principle 2, give before you ask. Give before you ask. This is the golden rule of quiet networking. Most people approach networking like a transaction. They want something. A job. A referral. An introduction. And that neediness is visible from across the room. But when you give first, everything changes. You share a useful article. You congratulate someone on their promotion. You comment on their post with something specific and insightful. You offer help without being asked. And suddenly, you're not a stranger asking for a favor. You're someone they've already interacted with positively. Someone they remember. When you eventually reach out about an opportunity, the dynamic is completely different. You're not cold. You're warm. You're not asking. You're continuing a conversation. And this is where introverts shine again. Because giving first is not about being loud. It's about being observant. Noticing what people need. Noticing what they care about. And offering something useful without expecting anything in return. That's not performance. That's genuine connection. Principle 3, writing is your medium. Writing is your medium. You think in writing. You communicate in writing. And in a world that prizes verbal quickness, your written clarity is a superpower. A thoughtful LinkedIn message. A well-crafted email. A perceptive comment on someone's article. These create more genuine connection than any handshake. Think about the last networking event you attended. How many conversations do you actually remember? Now think about the last email or message that made you feel seen. That made you feel understood. The comparison is not even close. So why do we keep forcing ourselves into rooms full of strangers when our strength is sitting alone with our thoughts and turning them into clear, compelling words? Here's the message template that works. Hi name. I've been following your work on specific topic and found your recent post on X particularly insightful, especially the point about specific detail. I'm currently exploring opportunities in field and would genuinely value 15 minutes of your perspective on how you navigated specific challenge. No pressure at all if timing isn't right. Either way, thank you for the content you share. That message gets responses because it's specific. It's not generic. It demonstrates that you actually engage with their work. It asks for something small, not a job, and it removes pressure by making declining easy. That's quiet networking. Now let's talk about the informational interview. This is your best tool. An informational interview is not a job interview. It's a 15 to 20-minute conversation where you ask someone about their career path and experience. Not to ask for a job, but to learn. And here's what introverts often miss. You are naturally exceptional at these conversations. Why? Because you ask better questions. You actually listen. You don't dominate the conversation. You don't perform. You're genuinely curious. And that curiosity is disarming. When you sit across from someone and genuinely want to understand their journey, they feel it. They relax. They open up. And by the end of that conversation, they have a real impression of you. A positive one. They've seen your preparation, your thoughtfulness, your ability to engage deeply. And when a role opens up in their company, who do you think they think of? The person who asked thoughtful questions and listened carefully, or the person who handed them a business card at a crowded event and vanished? The answer is obvious. After the conversation, send a thank you email within 24 hours. Reference something specific they said, something that stuck with you, and then stay in occasional contact. Share a relevant article once a month. Comment on their posts. Keep the connection warm without being needy. That's quiet networking. Now let's address the elephant in the room. What about rejection? What about the messages that go unanswered? What about the informational interviews that don't lead anywhere? Here's the reframe that changes everything. A non-response is not rejection. It's just silence. People are busy. People forget. People don't check their LinkedIn messages. A non-response means nothing about your worth or your strategy. It means the timing wasn't right. Send a brief follow-up after a week. One follow-up only. If they don't respond, move on. There are many other people to connect with. And here's something most people don't understand. The best candidates receive the most rejections. Not because they're bad candidates, but because they apply most often. Because they reach out most often. Because they're visible. Rejection is a data point, not a verdict. It tells you something about that company, that role, that timing. It tells you nothing about who you are. So you keep going. You keep sending thoughtful messages. You keep engaging with people whose work you admire. You keep giving before you ask. And gradually, quietly, your network grows. Not in numbers, in depth, in trust, in genuine connection. And then something shifts. You don't have to apply to job listings anymore because people come to you. You don't have to perform extroversion because your writing has already done the work. You don't have to network because you've already built real relationships. That's the quiet networking method. 5 genuine connections. Consistent, meaningful engagement. Giving before asking. Writing as your medium. And patience as your strategy. The job market does not reward the loudest person in the room. It rewards the most prepared, the most thoughtful, the most genuinely compelling. That's you. That's always been you. So here's the question. What if you stopped trying to be someone else and started using the strengths you already have? What if you replaced performance with preparation? What if you replaced volume with depth? What if the quiet networking method is not a compromise, but a competitive advantage? It is. And the only thing left to do is start. The next time you think about networking, don't think about a room full of strangers. Think about one person whose work you admire. One message. One genuine connection. That's where it begins. That's where your next job begins. If this video helped you reframe your job search, hit that like button. It genuinely helps more introverts find this content. Subscribe to Playbook Lab for more practical strategies that actually work for how you're built. And if you want the complete step-by-step system, the full Introverted Job Seekers Playbook is linked in the description below and pinned in the comments. It covers everything we didn't have time for today: resumes, LinkedIn optimization, interview prep, salary negotiation scripts, and your complete 30-day quiet job search plan. Go check it out. I'll see you in the next video.